Audits can highlight good practice as well as identify areas for improvement. Through these small conversations, Quality Central is making these insights available to a wider audience. The team working with culturally and linguistically diverse students in the General Education program have developed an RPL process that the IME auditors identified as being very good practice. Jane Materia, Senior Educator with the Centre for CALD, is representing the School of Sustainable Futures to discuss how they do it.
Oh, well, I've been working at Swinburne for about 6 years, but prior to that I've worked as a literacy teacher in a variety of settings, community-based and workplace-based literacy programs. So, yeah, for at least a couple of decades now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as part of the audit process for the IME, they came across some good practices that you were doing around RPL.
Yes. It was actually an assessment that was conducted for our Certificate 1 in General Education for adults, so introductory level Certificate 1, and it was conducted by another assessor, but it was based on processes and tools that I'd developed with the rest of my team. And basically a couple of things were identified. They said that the documentation was very clearly prepared and sort of ticked all the boxes, and the other thing was that there was really good comprehensive evidence for the assessor's judgement in that case, the judgement of competency that had been reached for that unit, which was a numeracy unit.
Yeah. So what were some of the drivers that pushed you towards developing these tools? And
well, I think in common with lots of people, Brian, my experience of RPL has been, as an RPL candidate, it's been this huge paper chase and gathering evidence and wondering if you've got enough. And I think when I first considered RPL for our students, who of course, as I said, are literacy students, I thought, how can we reconcile our processes with this, and how can we make it valid? And so really we recognised that our students would not be able to sort of gather evidence or even perhaps find documentation for their skills and knowledge, but we knew that given the opportunity they could demonstrate their skills and knowledge. So originally we were really scratching our heads looking at how can we provide them with information on the evidence guide, for example. We wanted to give them simple, accessible information. So we developed a very simply written self-assessment tool, and we also developed assessments that the candidate works through with the assessor. So they don't have to bring a whole lot of stuff along, but they can show us what they know. Yeah.
Good.
So really, from the student's point of view, we had to come up with a model that worked and that was robust as well.
Yeah. And what sort of skills did you bring to it and the team to make it possible? Because it's one thing to identify the need, but to put together something that's robust and useful.
I think my knowledge of the students in various settings made it pretty obvious from the outset that we would have to develop our own model. But I'm really fortunate to work in a team of very experienced people. My fellow senior educator, Lydia Arswell, is an experienced numeracy teacher. We've got terrific teachers across campuses. And also, I guess my experience teaching adults is, and particularly literacy students, is that often they can demonstrate so much more than they can articulate or talk to you about. So you've got to give them a chance to show their skills, give them the opportunity, and have a really structured and simple process, not just for the candidate, but also for the assessor.
Yeah. Empowers both the candidate.
It does, absolutely. And what surprised me, particularly coming from my own experience of RPL, was that it actually was an enjoyable experience for both the candidate and the assessor. So it was really heartening to see that. And I think that for many of our students, they benefited from the understanding of the assessors, the expertise. The assessor whose file was chosen for audit not only has qualifications in English as a second language, but she's also a numeracy teacher, and that was Zoe Repsey. But she was typical of our team, very knowledgeable about our curriculum, but also very experienced working with our cohort. So those two things together were just absolutely crucial to the success of that process.
Good. And what would you like to do next with this?
Oh, I think we're very, very much at the beginning of the process. We're on a really steep learning curve, and we want to make sure that we streamline, we make our tools holistic, we draw on the experience of others. I think, you know, we need to develop systems and tools that are appropriate for our cohort, but also we need to draw on the experience of people who have expertise in the area. So we're certainly getting involved with our school RPL effort and even more broadly. That doesn't mean to say that, you know, one size fits all, because it doesn't, but we need to benefit from the experience of others, and particularly when it comes to documentation surrounding RPL, you know, I'm looking forward to a more streamlined approach, not just on our part, but generally. Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.